Great Carve Shield enclosure. It's for a laser. And this is different than some of the other enclosures I've done demonstrations and reviews on, as this is not a flexible one. This is more or less solid. It's also made out of a material you can see through all the way around, which is going to be kind of a plus. So I'll talk about this a little bit. A laser without an enclosure. For example, I've got a Ortur Laser Master 3 sitting over here in an enclosure, soft enclosure. It's a class 4 laser. Just because I put an enclosure on it does not make it a class 1 laser. That's a whole rating system that's different. It does make it safer, of course, and it will be safer, for example, when I put a laser inside this, but that does not turn a class 4 laser into a class 1 laser. Also, I should bring up, if you have a class 1 laser, like let's say X2S1, and you take the bottom out of it to put a riser kit into it, so you could do pass-throughs underneath, that's no longer a class 1 laser. You just change the rating of it. But we won't get into all that technical stuff here. What I've got here, this was provided to me to assemble and demonstrate, and that's what we're going to do. So let's see what we got in the box. No, that's not snow, that's foam. So let's see, we got, how in the world is this package? You got all kinds of parts and pieces here. I know I opened it right side up. It's a fan outlet of a handle. And all of the polycarbonate or acrylic or whatever you want to call it is right here in a big group. This is not really light. It's a lot of plastic there. Get that moved off to the side. Another piece of foam in here. We have a quick guide. It says right on there, so it's got to be quick. We have some materials to play with here, sample materials and test parameter, and we'll get into that too here in a little bit. Okay, we got a lot of parts and pieces and hinges and brackets and a little hardware kit right there, a lot of screws in there. There'll be a lot of assembly to this. Well, let me get everything out of here, and we'll get rid of the cardboard and the foam, and we'll get to it. Yeah, I was curious what was in this pack here. There's some parameters here of scratch acrylic. So we got some different colors. And it's for a 20 watt, settings for 20 watt laser. Black and white. This will be interesting to play with. I've never played with this stuff before. Heard of it, just never played with it. So I assume there's some samples here in this pack. We'll tape together here. So this is acrylic. It's like about 1 millimeter. It's not super thick. Black on one side and silver on the other. This has protective sheets in between. Let's see what we got for colors here, because I'm curious on this. So that one's black. This one's black. And black and white. I'm going to keep this protective paper in between these because I'm going to play with these later, of course. And this one here is black and white. We have a gold and black. And looks like another gold and black. And a yellow and black, 2 yellow and black. So yes, I'll be playing with those. That will obviously be a different video. It's kind of off subject of this assembling this enclosure, but it's going to be fun to play with. So here are the destructions, and it's pretty straightforward. It's just a lot of assembly to it. This is orange acrylic. Okay, and the little tool kit and hardware kit that comes with this. There are some little alien wrenches here. I know it's called Allen wrenches. They give you a couple stamped steel opening wrenches. Just for sake of making this easier, and if you have these, I'm using these types of drivers. The sizes you will need for the nut driver I have here is a 7 M&Ms. You'll need 10 millimeter for the larger nuts in there. And then the small drivers here are 2, 2.5, and 4 millimeter. So it's up to you whether you want to use the kit, the wrenches, or these. This will make things a lot easier. All of the acrylic here is wrapped in plastic. Everything is identified with, by letter, of where it goes, which corresponds to what's on the assembly sheet right here. And then once you get everything assembled, or during it, you need to peel off the protective coating from all of the acrylic. In addition, I noticed that all the hinges and braces are not plastic. These are made out of aluminum or aluminium if you're from the other side of the pond. So, well built, quality built. The handle is also aluminum, as are the hinges. So we'll get to putting this together. Start out with panel G. It comes with a little emblem here. It says Great Carve on it. That's their brand. There's a recess that's been CNC routed into the acrylic here. So this will just drop in there. You need to peel some of the plastic back a little bit. And there's a couple of little flathead screws and nuts that need to go on it. So you got 2 little tiny nuts. If you've got fat fingers, screws are small, tweezers would be handy. Be able to pluck them little pieces of hardware out of there. There's one of the screws. So it's just a simple matter of putting a screw through the hole and putting a nut on the back. And something you'll probably want to do is peel the plastic off, the protective plastic off the acrylic. Because once you start putting all the nuts and brackets and stuff on, you'll have a real hard time getting it off. So that was a simple first step. What I'm going to do now is take the rest of this acrylic off, because I know this, or vinyl, or plastic, whatever you want to call it. So I know this is side G. Way it'll be easier for me to put my corner brackets on. So you're going to have a whole bunch of these, and they will go on the corners. Like so. And there'll be 6 of them on this panel, and they give you, now they even have a name for these, 4 millimeter by 14 millimeter screws and nuts. And the screws will go in from the front, the nuts will fit into the back. These are locking nuts. One end has a dome, that end always goes out. Flat end goes towards the surface you're working with. And it should be 2.5 M&Ms there. And if you get the nut position just right, it'll lock itself in. You won't need a wrench on the other side. And you just keep repeating this process right here until you have all 6 of them on this sheet. I should add, as you're putting these on, tighten them up snug. Don't crank on them. You're going to crack the acrylic, or you could crack. Of course, I didn't do that, but you could crack the acrylic. And you may need to make some minor adjustments as you put the other sides on. So don't go cranking them down really hard. Okay, once you get all 6 brackets on side G, you'll want to go to side F and do exactly the same thing. Okay, once all those brackets are in, then we go to putting the other sides on, which would be D and E. Here would be D, it has the vent in it, and E right there. And this is A, and we'll get to that later. So you want to make sure you do this with the notches. You see they got notches on them. You want to make sure that when you assemble this, those notches are down and not up. You don't want one way and one the other way. You want them both facing down. You'll also notice on one of the panels here that you have the 2 holes at the top here. You'll need to put one of these brackets on there as well, facing up like so. and this will be the top. So you don't want to reverse these and have one pointed up and one pointed down, or you'll be doing it over. Just thought I'd point that out. A suggestion here, in case you didn't figure it out already on your own, it's easier to slip the nut into the bracket and then put the screw in from the other side than to put the screw in and try to screw the nut on it. So it's much easier to do it this way. Just a little assembly hint there. Once you got all the sides together, you move on to putting this exhaust flange. The flange goes on the inside, and then it's a matter of using the same bolts and nuts you've been using, and put the screw head on the outside and the nut on the inside, and you do all 4 of those around. And the next part is the top cover of A, B, and C. As you can see here, I haven't taken the plastic off of this yet. This will fit here, and there are screws that will go in on the brackets we did, and we'll have a couple hinges to mount, and I may put the hinges on first just because it would be easier. Don't put your hinges on upside down. There's a little flathead recess there for the screw. You can see a flathead that will fit in this slot here, and then the flat-headed machine screws go right down in there like that, with a nut on the bottom. And you can opt to use a wrench if you like. I'm just using a nut driver, it's easier to hold. And you want to keep that hinge square in there, or your next cover is not going to fit so well. And I'll just repeat that on the other hinge, and then I'll put my bolts in the brackets. Okay, now it's all that's all put together. Next is part B, and you'll look at the cover here and you'll see that it has mortise out here for the hinges from your part A, and then there'll be mortises on the other side, which will be where part C will attach. So you want to make sure you don't get this backwards, although I guess it would work either way. It looks like it would, but anyway, if you want to keep like letters all up and everything, then you would definitely want to put it this way. And again, it's the same thing with the little flathead screws and the nuts. Now your other set of hinges will mount from the bottom with the flathead side down and the nuts coming up. And the last panel C will then fit on top of that with the hinge mortise facing down. And the hinges will screw in from the back, and then the handle will go right here. That's this guy. There's screws in the box for that, so I'll get this plastic off of here. And we'll get this one mounted. There we have it. The IKEA of laser enclosures. That's a lot of nuts and bolts, but by golly, we got her all together. So here it is. And yes, I know technically that should be metal. That should be a metal vent, but I'll be right here for this. It's just going to be demonstration. When I move this up to the laser room, it has metal ducting on it, not this vinyl. The reason you shouldn't use the plastic or vinyl is if you are cutting or burning and a spark gets picked up, it gets sucked out there, it could burn a hole in the plastic. That's why this is same thing with if you're venting your gas dryer or your electric dryer. You should not use plastic, you should use metal. This is actually made for stuff like bathroom exhaust fans and that type of thing. Now, speaking of fans, this enclosure does not have a fan in it. So you will need to have an external fan or vent of some type, or install a fan on the inside of that, one of the two. I have this hooked up to an exhaust fan, so that will suck everything out. Cover picks up, folds back real nice, just like that. Okay, something you may notice with acrylic, and not just this brand, but anything that has acrylic on it, it's like a dust magnet. So the best thing to use is a bounce dryer sheet and rub it all over, and that will reduce the static and it will reduce the amount of dust that you get all over it. So now I suppose you're going to want to see something demonstrated in this. So I'm going to go grab a laser of some kind and stick underneath here. Okay, of course you're going to want to see this in action. So the Mecpow 10-watt laser was handy. So you'll get to see a little bit of a preview of an upcoming beginner laser project. It'll be a layered sign, and this is going to be the front layer. And that's what we're going to start with here. I have my air assist on. I'm using the air assist pump that came with the Mecpow laser. Not shop air or anything this time. So we'll let this run, and as you can see here, it's not making a lot of smoke yet, but the smoke is clearing well. I have my exhaust fan on, and I am able to look. Of course, the laser head on this does have a shield on it, but I am able to look at it from the back as well, where there is no shield. And this orange does a very, very good job of neutralizing that blue light from the diode. This orange is the opposite of blue, and technically your laser safety glasses should be made out of an orange material. Although the green and the red are fine and they are better than nothing, but the proper color is actually orange. There is a honeycomb bed under this. So despite not being fully enclosed because the bottom's open and having some slots on the sides and so on, again I do have my exhaust fan running, my little vent fan for my lasers and such here, and I don't smell any smoke or anything in here, so that's doing a good job. Again, it would be nice if it actually had a built-in fan, but it doesn't, so it doesn't. It is nice being able to see all the way around the laser here, whereas with my other enclosures, you just got a little window to look in. So again, this does not make a class 4 laser class 1, because if I open the lid on this, the laser doesn't shut off. On a class 1 laser, it would. But it does add a good degree of protection. Something to keep in mind though, acrylic is not fireproof. So if you would have a fire in there, you would have some melting going on, but you shouldn't be leaving your laser unattended anyway. Oh, as you can see there, everything worked out well, and all I need to do now is just open my cover up. I'm actually going to move that back. It's a little bit easier to get out. Shoulder out of the way. I got a couple little pieces to poke out of there. There we go. So this is kind of a preview of one of the upcoming projects of a layered sign, but this enclosure works perfect. So there it is, a Great Carve Shield 1 enclosure. It says so right there in the book. And yes, as I mentioned, this is like the IKEA of laser enclosures. A lot of assembly to this. It took me an hour to put this together, but that included playing with the video camera and stuff here. So yes, it's going to take you a little bit of time to assemble it. It's not difficult, it's just time consuming is all. But it's very, very well constructed. This is nice, thick, it's like about 1/4 inch acrylic. The color, it blocks that blue diode very, very well. So I still would not use this as an absolute eye protection thing here. It greatly reduces that light from that. If you're going to stare at that laser beam, put actual safety goggles or safety glasses on, designed for a blue diode laser. There again, I'll put a link in the description on where to get this. This was again supplied to me by Great Carve to demonstrate, and I am quite pleased with this. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up, always helps the channel. I'm Roger in the shop. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.